Yo, what is up everybody, it's Seththeprogrammer here and welcome back to another reaction video here today. And today, once again, we are here with a very serious topic. This is an anime, this isn't some fun topic where I try to paint some, amazing premise or anything of that nature. This is another serious topic, as you can tell with the title. I asked you guys if you guys wanted me to react to this specific video, and you guys asked, so I shall deliver. And as you can clearly tell by the title of the video, this is Seththeprogrammer's video. The allegations are not true, the honest truth. Right, and despite him basically admitting to these allegations on Keemstar's stream and pathetically trying to retract himself many times, he still made this video, which is already suspect. But to be fair, I'm going to try to mimic a court of law to the best of my ability when analyzing this video and dissecting his arguments to illuminate on whether or not he even remotely gave a good defense to these allegations, right? Despite him saying most of them were true on Keem's stream. So I really don't see the point of this video, but either way, you guys asked, I shall deliver. I'll give my thoughts as organically as possible, as unbiased as possible, despite the vileness of Seth, which we are all blatantly aware of now. And hopefully after this, the community can move on. Seth is purged from the community until further notice, and we can continue on with our lives. But before we begin, anyone greatly appreciate, hit that like button, turn on bell notifications to stay updated with yours truly. And if you're new and you enjoy, man, you missed a kid, make sure to hit that sub button, because once you do, become part of the family forever. But let's not waste any more time. Screen. Let's see what Seth has to say.
Age.
How old are you?
I'm fucking 28. How old are you?
By the way, folks, I heard that there's
Wow,
some
I'm
sensitive
22.
stuff in this video, so
Oh,
viewer discretion is
Jesus
advised as well.
You're fucking old, bitch.
I'm not old.
I was looking for like a 14-year-old. What the fuck, Granny?
Oh my god.
Not joking. You have a little sister?
Hello everyone, it's your host, Seththeprogrammer. This video has been a long time coming, and there are many reasons this video did take me a long time, which I will be getting into later in the video, and you guys will definitely understand why. I will say this just very bluntly, very short. I have made many mistakes.
Guarantee he had to edit it himself. Guaranteed, now that he's purged from the community, now that he's blackballed himself, essentially, from the community, I guaranteed he had to edit this himself, and that's probably why it took him this long. Guarantee that's one of the main factors, at least. Let's continue, though.
Mistakes in my life. I've hurt people in the past, including close friends, and I'm currently seeking therapy to work on myself and to be a better person and more understanding of others. And that being said, yes, I was an asshole to my friends, but the bottom line and the most important thing here is I am not a pedophile. The pedophile thing was never really Clyde's huge concern. Clyde defended me in the past about this, and so did many other YouTubers. And Clyde himself, he became a little bit confused by it because of admissions from a different person named Catherine Kawhi, who happened to be a boy, and Clyde always just assumed, well, Seth is not gay, so therefore he would never hit on a boy. And then when he heard about my sexuality possibly not being straight, he became a little bit confused. I will just say right now that Catherine Kawhi has already came out and said, no, I was not a victim of Seth. So
Let's read this. Let's read this for clarification and proper illumination of what's going on. He wishes to keep his identity private. I can prove this is him to influencers privately. Okay. I already wanted to know the lore, so I'll keep it short. Catherine Kawhi 16 was an alliance that I made to troll one of my down bad IRLs on Discord. At the same time, I was invited into Battle Kingdom and the like, and didn't bother changing the username, so it kind of stuck for a bit. At some point, I joined Seth's server to troll and message Seth to get a reaction. I like to first assert that I'm not a victim of Seth in any shape or form. It was mainly me who was instigating conversations. The screenshots using the doc were months apart, and in between we had a conversation in the server on VC. During this class, for his age, probably I had told him I was 16, although I was actually 15 at the time, though it doesn't matter. It does matter. Seth is a grown man. Seth is a grown-ass man. It does matter. And he replied that he was 14. Obviously, that's a fucking lie, so that's already suspicious. Apparently, this was a common thing he said, but whatever. Yeah, it was common because of his intentions. This clearly illuminates the behavior and the nature of his behavior during this time period. You're just going to paint that it's a joke that you constantly lie about your age? I don't think so. You don't get off that scot-free. Regarding the whole live streaming himself sleeping, I don't remember what the particular context of the conversation was, but I believe he was saying that he wasn't sleeping, so I told him to live stream himself sleeping as a joke. Keep in mind, my whole personality back in 2018 was to be annoying and weird as possible, which is why I suggested this. He responded the whole naked or clothes thing, and to keep character, I played along and said naked. After that, we stopped talking. The reason I give the screenshots is less that I felt victimized, but more so I feel Seth was out of the line, knowing that I was still a minor, but still made a sexual joke that could be taken as an advance. Once again, the conversation was about me joking that he live streams himself sleeping because he hadn't been sleeping. So regardless that he was joking, and it's clear that he was, it still comes across very predatory under law. This really doesn't help Seth much. Doesn't help him at all. Let's continue though.
With that out of the way, we're just going to get straight into satire.
It seems that from what you just told me, that it was kind of like an unspoken thing that everyone's just kind of trolling each other and trying to make each other uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you never felt threatened by him, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Okay, and...
yes, like, at the time, I was just sort of... It was just my personality to be as weird and annoying as possible. My mentality during this whole thing was that most people on Discord have, like, a veil of irony. So, like, I just assumed that everyone was sort of trolling at the time.
What I'm coming today here is to just, like, quickly speak with you and just get your kind of, your comments and everything like that. You posted...
Honestly, I feel like my situation is, like, hardly relevant. It is, like, because, once again, I didn't consider myself a victim at all.
Yeah.
I just thought that my encounters with Seth, were kind of sus.
The satire situation. Satire is 3 years younger than me, and during these screenshots, she is 17, and I am 20 years old.
He used to say things like that in private calls as well, like with his highest of admins as well up there. They would just sit in calls, and he would sit there and say things like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel dumb as a 16-year-old, not recognizing those things now. At 22, I can sit there and say, what was I thinking? But yeah.
Then in future screenshots where a lot of people are like, the pepperoni nips.
I'm going to dissect this, like I said, as thoroughly as possible. She says that, right? We don't know what she means by that. We don't. So I don't know if you're telling the truth, Seth. I don't know what she's referencing to. You're putting these texts over these voiceovers to kind of answer that question for us. But why should we trust you? Why should we? When you have years of history of lying to people, including your fans. So why the hell would I believe you or anyone else believe you? That this is the context that she's speaking in? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That doesn't prove nothing. Also, I'm not a criminologist, I'm not a psychologist, but I'll say this about minors and pedophilic behavior. There is a commonality, if you look at the criminal history of pedophiles, to make minors feel safe, right? To exploit their innocence, to exploit their ignorance to the world, right? So just because this kid doesn't feel like a victim doesn't mean he wasn't a victim of pedophilic activity. Now, to be fair, like I said, I'm going to try being unbiased third parties to the best of my ability. Clearly, that's difficult. Seth isn't EDP. Okay, he's not EDP. He's not as heinous as that individual, but there is pedophilic behavior being displayed by Seth. And just because a little kid says, I don't feel like a victim, that doesn't disprove the vileness and the classification of behavior. It does not. That doesn't prove a damn thing. It truly does not. It truly does not. And the fact that he has a history of this activity just makes him look worse. I've seen no evidence to suggest that these allegations are not true. I'm sorry. I'll try to stop pausing as often as I do, but so far this is a fake bag of goods.
And they're saying I'm sexually harassing her. She's 18 and I am 21. A lot of people really over-exaggerate the age difference, and a lot of people, they keep doing this thing where they're like, Seth, you're 21 talking to a 16-year-old girl. They'll always age me up, but just keep her perpetually 16, and it's a completely dishonest narrative. It's always a 3-year gap. She was born in 2000. But beyond that, a lot of these screenshots are actually doctored or fake, and you'll notice in a lot of these screenshots, she removes all of her replies and a lot of context. You can literally see it in the screenshots where it's like, who is Seth replying to? Is he having like a schizo attack? Who is he talking to in these screenshots? And it's because she removed all the context, which originally the context is that, at least for the original one, was that me and her would get into these private
Is that a
calls
white
with, like, admins
text?
and stuff like that, which she admits on Clyde's stream.
Yeah, Seth
And we would
definitely
do it
edited
to
this shit.
sort of poke fun at another member in our server who actually had a crush on her, so me and her would make screenshot bait and then send it to him. So there was no actual intent at soliciting anything. There's not like, oh, you know, I was just joking, bro. It's not even that. There's not even an attempt to solicit anything from anyone, on top of her already doctoring and lying about a lot of screenshots. And to further go into this, there's a guy who actually completely despised me. He thought I was absolutely a pedophile. He hated that, and no one was talking about it, so he actually helped inspire to make this document on me to begin with, and he was the original person behind it, and kind of getting into it, and, you know, arguing and creating the arguments for it. And then he just straight up realized, these people keep telling me different lies and different things, and suddenly they're making new stories all the time that don't make any sense and clearly never happened.
Okay, so with the whole, like, 50 messages I woke up to, Satire and Abraham are trying the whole, he's trying to fly out and fuck me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, didn't she...
Apparently they have screenshots this time. Yeah.
But that's bullshit, because, like, you asked them for evidence, and then they're just like, oh, we didn't say that, or we don't have any evidence, or something. And then, like, now they just suddenly have evidence, like, almost 6 months later.
Yeah, so I'll relay the chronology from what I saw, like, about the little situation that's happening now, and I'll just tell you my kind of takeaway. But basically what happened was, I forgot who I was talking to. I think it was, you know, the MF Doom kid?
Yeah.
Know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I forgot what we were talking about. We were talking about some shit, but he basically asked me about you. And I basically said, oh, Seth's like a liar and shit, but I don't think he's a pedophile. I think Abraham and them lied about that. And so he goes, really? You think Abraham would lie about that? And I'm like, yeah, I do think he would, because he just flat out lied to my face. And so he goes, huh, well, maybe you should talk to Abraham. I'm like, pass.
Right.
And then that was like 2 days ago. Then yesterday, I guess Abraham hits up Fingerprint and is just like, hey, man, I was hoping that I could talk to Trini or something, because recently, you know, I don't know, like, you know, it's just, there's something really pressing that I want to talk to him about. And I was like, we literally the last time, because of this shit, said that we weren't going to ever talk again, because there's just no point in us speaking. So I was like, yeah, I'm good. Then that tryharder kid, who's like the notorious doxer in this community, then proceeded to ask Infamous, oh, yo, can you ask Trini and Fingerprint to come talk with me? And Fingerprint's not even involved, so that already seems suspicious as fuck to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll just talk to him so he doesn't bother Fingerprint. And because, like, Fingerprint's busy with a bunch of shit, so I'm not going to have him being bothered over it. So I decided to, like, kind of hear what, like, he was even trying to talk about. So it was apparently about you.
Yeah.
And he starts telling me, like, oh, like, we want your testimony and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, look, been there, done that. Nothing came out of it. I'm good. And he was like, well, Seth said, like, all sorts of weird shit. I'm like, yeah, Seth said some creepy shit, but he apologized. We've kind of all moved on from it. No real harm, no real foul. Like, yeah, what is there to really talk about at this point? And he basically was like, well, he should have said that stuff. And I'm like, I agree, but if it's not to the degree of, like, child grooming or anything, I don't know why you guys would go out of your way to, like, try and ruin his career or slander him so badly as, like, this weird child hunting pedophile, when, you know, like, you deal with, like, depression and shit. Like, that could be a very serious, like, mental health concern for you. Like, just all sorts of, like, fucking unnecessary stress. If not that, it's still a huge financial risk, because your whole thing is about platforming, essentially. It's what you do. You have a social media profile that brings in revenue and shit. People threaten that by, like, labeling you a pedophile, and that's seen as even remotely reputable. That's not good. So I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, you guys should definitely be way more careful with that shit. And then they keep so this tryharder guy keeps trying to convince me he actually has way more definitive evidence and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, look, bro, just a heads up, Abraham and Satire lied about this shit. They told me, oh, Seth promised to fly out and promised that he would come to a specific hotel because he knew the hotel in her area and knew her fucking Australian zip code or whatever the fuck.
Right.
And that like all sorts of like crazy detailed information. And that they had all of the evidence for it. And I took their word for it because it seemed really legitimate at the time. And so I'm like, yeah, like, okay, sure. Then when you and I argued, you were like, and I thought this was a legitimate point, you were like, well, if it is the case that I'm just seriously like a child grooming pedophile and there's just so much evidence for me just like asking Satire when I could fly out there, like, you know, why don't you guys just expose me? And I was like, yeah, that is a good point, because Abraham and Satire have been talking about it for a while, so why don't we just do it? So I asked them, and by the way, it wasn't just me who heard them say this. They talked about it with me and Mikey, right? Yeah. So just keep that in mind for a second. So...
It's not really a good point, the one that Trini brought up. That's not a good point. Why? Because they've tried to expose Seth in the past, and what happened? Those people got blackballed. Like Noodles. Noodles tried to expose him for what he really was. What happened? He got blackballed. And guess what? I'm man enough to admit it. Even I fell for it. When I used to be a Seth fan, I fell for it. And I thought Noodles was a terrible person. So that's why they didn't come out sooner. They didn't have hundreds of thousands of fans behind them to back them up when they do this thing. What was the catalyst for the true downfall? It was Clyde's video. And what's the difference already between this video and Clyde's? Clyde's had an abundance of empirical evidence, an abundance of him saying things, of screenshots, tons of screenshots, etc. Now, Seth says that these pictures are doctored or fake. Faking a photo is not easy. Faking a photo from scratch is even more difficult. You got to be knowledgeable in specific fields of discipline. Specifically computer vision. You gotta understand pixelation. You gotta understand the RGB spectrum, etc. You gotta understand all these aspects to create something that good looking, right? That believable. I highly, highly doubt that any of these screenshots were created from scratch to destroy Seth. I doubt young kids know how to do that anyway. I doubt it. Unless you can prove that they paid some professionals to maliciously create these screenshots, I highly doubt that's the case. Highly, highly doubt it. It's not easy to create images from scratch. Good ones. Ones that are even remotely believable. So I highly doubt that. And to continue further, hearsay in an official court of law is not admissible by a third party. So this, let's say that this was in an official court of law, this would be hearsay and not admissible. It would be disregarded by the courts, disregarded by the jury. It would simply be trivial to present in the first place. There are arbitrary levels of reliability to any such said piece of evidence. Courts of law acknowledge this, and that's why they classify some evidence as non-admissible and some as admissible. Right? Physical pieces of evidence, physical, possibly visuals of the crime taking place are some of the most reliable pieces of evidence we have, right? Some of the most reliable pieces of evidence we have. And some of the most non-admissible are hearsay, simple speculation, etc. So far, all I've heard is hearsay and speculation and extremely contentious arguments. That's all I've heard so far. But let's continue on.
I hit them up about it, and I'm like, Abraham, yo, can you get me that evidence? And then he tells me, we never said that. And I'm like, dude, are you being fucking serious right now? And he's like, yeah, we never said that. And so I asked him, Mikey, and I'm like, yo, did he not say that? And he was like, not only did they say that, but they promised they had evidence. And so I was like, yeah, there's fucking liars. And I told them up front, I thought they were fucking liars. Then they proceeded to try and call me a pedophile and shit on Twitter. Because I talk to Jade occasionally, which I thought was really ironic, because I don't know if you know this, but Satire used to have really private conversations with Jade, like really deeply emotionally intimate conversations with this like 11-year-old for no fucking reason.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, that's actually fucking weird. She was
Right.
ranting about her mom and shit to like this kid. Really bizarre.
He's like prepubescent.
But dude, this is someone who's still doing like pre-algebra homework. Like you're sitting here ranting to her about your mom dying. Like that's just like why him and that's just bizarre to me. But
Right.
yeah, they try to call me a pedophile and shit because you talked to. So I'm just like, look, I get the impression that they just like to lie and have weird vendettas against people and shit. I'm not the first person they've done this to. You definitely aren't the first person they've done this to. That's just how they've always been. It's been like that since like Aradaro became the leader of their group. So I have just no higher standard for them than just to like lie and be vindictive.
Yeah.
And I tried relaying it to this kid, but he kept swearing he had all sorts of evidence and shit. And after a certain point, he's not giving evidence. And by the way, I don't know if you know about this kid. Jester might have told you. But apparently he like swatted some fucking kid because some kid joked that he wasn't that good of a hacker or something. So he got him swatted and apparently got his dad in prison or some crazy shit.
What the fuck?
And
Shit.
it makes yeah, ask Jester more about that. He'll know more about it because I don't really know that much about the situation. But Tryharder said that was basically the situation, but like it was just dumb or really complicated or something along those lines. And it gets weirder because you got to keep in mind the only reason I didn't try and expose you sooner was because when I asked, and this is something that came up like 3 years ago. I asked Abraham, hey, why don't we just like collaboratively put this out there into the public domain if you guys have so much evidence of Seth being a pedophile? This is something I've been asking about for years. And again, suddenly he doesn't want to work with me because apparently I'm a bad person and I do too much fucked up shit. But now he's hanging around some kid who swats people and stuff. That seems really bizarre to me. Suddenly they have screenshots and shit. Seems super bizarre to me. So I basically said, look, if any of this shit you guys can provide is confirmable beyond just random screenshots, like, i.e., since he's apparently like a fucking god-tier hacker, if he can get into your account or something and then just showcase you fucking talking to a kid or something, which, I mean, like, if you can get into people's accounts so easily, why not just do something like that, right? Like, if he can get into your account, why doesn't he literally just do that?
Yeah.
Why can't he show you talking to a kid or something?
Some
Like, on
crazy
video,
shit.
like, stream or... Yeah. Like, that's what I'm wondering.
So,
Because we have to rely on blurry-ass, old, pixelated screenshots of, like, shit.
and then
It's just silly. So I just want no real part of it.
And then they're like, hey, Seth, can you get Seth in this group chat with me, Fax, and Tryharder?
No, don't
And then-
do it.
And then
Don't do it.
And then they were like, we have some proof he's a pedophile. And I'm like, okay, so it's just gonna be the bullshit or whatever. I can refute it or something. But then, like, I was like, but isn't, like, Tryharder, like, the uber nuker hacker kid? Like, he's definitely gonna hack my shit if I join this group chat. You know what I mean? So, like, I was like, no, I'm not joining. So now I kind of have to deal with, like, the repercussions, which is, like, they're gonna expose it to Rakuzan, which they just got, like, a 150-man call, and they were, like, ranting about all this evidence they have. Apparently Jade's in on it now, too, even though, like, and apparently Ice is saying that Jade wanted, like, clout or something recently, so that's why he's doing it. I don't know, but Jade's back on it, so...
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Jade. I will say he's always been kind of on the fence about it. Same with me.
Yeah.
But those screenshots do look really bad. My thing is just, where the fuck were those screenshots literally like 6 months ago
No, exactly.
when I asked for them?
That's what I mean. Like, where, like, you asked for these, and now they just come up, like, 6 months. And here's the other thing that's weird, too. So they've been on this, like, Seth's a pedophile thing for 4 years. I've never heard this argument a single time. Where did they even get the screenshots from?
This only came with this last year.
Like, where did they
Apparently Abraham and Satire.
Right, but it's like,
Yeah.
where do you...
Again, this is all hearsay.
My
I can't
account's
confirm nor
deleted.
deny
You
any of
can't,
this
like,
crap.
go on my shit and find, oh, wait, he did say this. You can't do that.
So it is not
It's
admissible.
available. You know what I mean?
Simply
So,
Oh, no,
Trivial.
there's a way. Like, if they know what the deleted username is, which they could find through group chats and shit, they could click on it and then just associate it with you by basically implicating that you were in group chats as Seth and then just showing screenshots of that. But, like, even then, they weren't showing shit like that. They were showing, like, screenshots of what seemed to be a normal profile of, like, you talking to Satire, One of them was of the nudes one, which we've talked about before, but other ones were apparently of you like talking to Satire about going to Australia and shit, and saying the only reason you don't do it is basically because you're like lazy or something. Which again, this is what I was asking for literally 6 months ago. So where the fuck was that? And just some other shit. Like apparently, this one was just really bizarre. I thought it was like just dog shit evidence, but one of them was of like you talking to some fucking guy LARPing as a girl who then proceeded to be like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Seth? Yo, hey, what's up, random person? Oh, by the way, random person, how old are you? Oh, I'm 16." And then he said that you took a super special interest to his age based on I'm not sure.
What the? What is?
This is
like,
weird.
what
Like,
is
it's obviously
this
it's just
shit,
a weird
man?
slander campaign.
Like, what is that shit? I don't.
But I
get
did
it.
say that I would like make a video, but the video wasn't gonna be of like me being like, "Oh, Seth's a fucking definitive pedophile" or anything. I was gonna say, which I think is true, and then honestly, I'll say this: it's what I was telling Noluk earlier. I think the best thing for you to do in this situation is to kind of like agree to certain shit. Just talk about what you did in response, how you made like stupid ass jokes or some shit. Just say that like you don't do that shit anymore. You didn't really know like the ramifications of that or whatever, and just kind of move on. But the other shit, like I can vouch for you that they just fucking lied about it, like one way or the other. Bare minimum, they said they had it, then lied, and then said they never said they had it.
I mean, like,
Which,
if you want me
yeah.
on the video, I can get on the video. So I mean,
Yeah, we can do some shit. Yeah.
I'm down for that.
We can ask Aeroflame as well. Like, I don't want to be like a part of the situation too deeply because I don't want them like trying to mess with me or whatever.
But it's kind of like
yeah.
you're like the ultimate like vouch because everyone, like all of them are like.
Well, because I'm the one who popularized it. Yeah.
Right. So you're like the ultimate one behind it. So it's just like, okay, well now we have this guy like vouching that they lied to him when everyone wants your testimony, right? And like, why did you decide to defend Seth after initially making it? And then now, why are you like just on defense even though Satire came out with this new stuff? And like, people just want to know that, right? Like, I can come out and say like, prove that screenshot's real, prove it, and like people will still be like, oh, I'm kind of suspicious. But like, if you were to say like, well, I asked for these and they didn't have them, then like it's just way more definitive. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it wasn't even just me. Like I said, it was me, it was Mikey. We actually asked Bucky about it way back when a couple of times, and Satire basically refused. The only screenshot that we ever originally saw over the past couple of years until literally like, I think that one conversation I had with Abraham, and then these recent ones, I think we saw just the one of you asking her for nudes, and Nolik pointed this out. If you read the actual conversation, she was obviously deleting messages, which just like kind of just brings to the light that she's just like fucking lying and like intentionally trying to miscontextualize shit.
Right. And it's very easy for her just to delete shit as well, because like I don't even have the account.
Yeah.
Especially, dude, I didn't even have the account.
Yeah, it's not like you can really do shit.
So, you heard it yourself.
Okay.
She is very dishonest. Creates a lot of lies and weird
You
stories.
didn't prove that.
This is also
You
true
didn't
with the
prove
whole
that.
three-way situation where she was saying me and whoever else were going to have a three-way with minors. This is just completely not true. I'm going to have someone else vouch for me right now. They're actually older than me. And she completely just pulled that story out of her ass to make me look worse than I am.
Alrighty, so regarding the whole threesome
Chuck.
thing, that didn't have to do anything with
Surprised that
Satire
he
at
wants to be
all.
involved at all in this.
That was a different person. It was like this moderator, basically. It was like on Kick. It was like 2017, 2018, I think. And basically this dude offered to have us fuck his girlfriend, right? And this, they were older than us at the time, so yeah, nothing came out of that. But I just wanted to bring context to that because none of that thing ever happened with Satire. So yeah.
But on top of this, Abraham, hang out with a person named Tryharder, and Tryharder is a known swatter. He actually gets paid to put swats on people. Will link to their PayPals, rob them. He's a crypto thief, and he does all this, and we have it all on recording. I can play it here.
Hello? Hello? I can't deal with this anymore. My dad just shot my little sister.
Ugh, well, that's disgusting.
Nigga, did they actually just...
Hello. My. Hello. My. My dad just shot my little sister. There's.
What's the address of your emergency? For verification.
8.
Sturgeon? Are you saying sturgeon or sturgeon?
Circle.
Spell it. I'm not.
S.
You're doing a yes. You're doing a great job. What's the phone number that you're calling from in case we get disconnected? Not coming up. What is the numerical again? What is your numerical?
It. 2. Okay. 8. Okay, please. Listen to me, please. Florida.
This is Florida.
It's 321.
Okay, 321. Go ahead.
321.
Okay, you're doing a great job. Okay, Jeffrey, tell me exactly what happened.
Okay. Thank you so much. My dad came back home. He was probably drugged. I don't know. There's drugs all over the place. It smells so badly. There's drugs all over the place. And he came back. He had a shotgun and he straight up straight up shot my little sister. My little sister Jennifer.
Alright, stay on the phone with me. I'm gonna get you some help.
Like I said, it's
When did this happen?
about I couldn't speak to you guys. I had multiple issues with like it happened around 3 to 2 hours ago. And I can't I'm hidden. He's yelling.
Okay, is your dad in the area?
He's not I'm safe. Trust me, I am safe.
Jeffrey, is your dad in the area? Is your dad there?
Yes, he is.
Okay, how many people are injured?
Probably just my sister.
How many suspects are involved?
I only saw my dad, just my dad.
Okay, where is he now?
He's still at home. He's still home. I can hear him yell.
Okay.
30.
I'm gonna need medical for that. I need to get your dad's description. Is he black, white, Hispanic, or Asian?
White.
How old is he?
43.
What's his name? Okay, you're doing a good job. Let's just stay on the phone with me, Jeffrey, alright?
Yes. Like I said,
He arrived.
he came with his Jeep home.
Okay, I need to get that vehicle description. What color is the Jeep?
Black.
Is it a 2-door or 4-door Jeep?
4-door.
It's a 4-door? Alright, you're doing a good job, Jeffrey. I need to get the weapon description.
He's yelling again. I can't. It was a shotgun. It was a shotgun.
They have current address. Lives in an apartment. I
want to say this real quick. That kid is sick. That kid has some real issues and should definitely pay the price for what he just did there, whoever the fuck that kid is. But despite that, this is a clear appeal to emotion type of argument, which is fallacious. You're trying to steer away our anger and our disgust for you to another piece of shit, right? That's what you're trying to do here. That doesn't prove your innocence. I don't think it does very much at all. I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to imply that Abraham and this female are affiliated with this piece of shit, hence they're not very reliable themselves. I understand what he's trying to do, right? But you're going to have to prove more to me that they're in affiliation together. You haven't proven that to me. despite this disgusting recording. And for someone so methodical and intelligent, right, or perceives to be so, you certainly didn't clean up loose ends when you were committing these acts, Seth. You did not at all. Very, very convenient to me. For someone so innocent, right, for someone so innocent, and that always just jokes around, we don't have a lot of proof, empirically, physical proof, screenshots, etc., to prove your innocence. You really don't. It's all hearsay from yourself and other third parties. That's all you have. And recordings of other assholes. That's all. There isn't nearly enough of a preponderance of evidence to suggest that you're innocent in the slightest. You prove that whoever this piece of shit is a piece of shit. Fine. But that doesn't stir away any anger or disgust towards you from the people. Not at all.
Oh no.
No, that's not it. No. It's
Yeah.
not the one that's 51 years old.
Yeah, no shit. Wait, no, that's the one that attached to. It is him. Look.
I know. That's the thing.
Wait, hold on. What is the last 4 digits of the phone number you think you have?
No, that's not it. No.
But he has a Yahoo account too.
Are you using that stem?
No, it's fucking just random ass shit.
What do you?
I don't. I wonder if this is his address then.
I think I might be running him for 5 fucking gens here. Are you using that stem?
No, it's fucking just random ass shit.
What do you?
I don't. It's that. I'm telling you, like it's blurred out.
I know.
I wonder if this is his address then.
I think I might be running him for 5 fucking gens here.
Wait. High school yearbook, high quality. Oh hell, I gotta see this.
Oh yeah, right. That's
I gotta see this. Hold on.
Fuck, GG, he finally got me.
That was a legit 5 Jordan.
That's him, dude. What the fuck?
Huh?
That's definitely him.
Show me.
You got like kid photos?
Holy shit!
Oh no.
That's definitely him, dude.
That looks like him.
That's definitely him.
Is anyone else going for tryharder with
This
me?
is
Give me his class.
This is the class of 2012. Well, I don't know if it's the class of 2012, but the yearbook is 2012. Fuck. Let me see if I can figure out what class this is on. This is freshman. It's freshman.
And they're all fully aware of this, and they all use this to try to threaten me and to get into my details and to stop me from replying. And it's one of the reasons I was actually very scared to reply in this situation.
Pack God, I sent you a Twitter DM. Please add Tryharder. Tryharder says he knows the truth and he really needs on. You guys know Tryharder?
Yeah, Tryharder is a dox. Only is that kid not? That's just a kid too, anyway, right? And he was crying.
Sorry guys, this audio is low here.
Whether this is, Clyde's fault or not, Tryharder was on his stream talking about me, and he was also on Keemstar's stream, and then Abraham and them are trying to bring more people, more swatters, more people trying to commit identity fraud with my things, and it's like, okay, if I reply, am I in danger? And that's a huge reason that I was very intimidated to reply in this situation, and I would really like your guys' support here, and I'm going to show all of the proof. All of this is just completely objective information. It's not even like an interpretation. I will show all of it. Them trying to get my social security number, them trying to get yearbooks, them trying to get a swatter on someone else and, doing like fake tears to get the police on them, trying to get people killed. These people are not good news, and they are not the arbiters of truth. And so when people start believing them, and especially over what the actual truth of the matter is, it's very disingenuous, and it comes off as kind of borderline evil. Lastly, people are saying I was sexually harassing a minor because back in the day there used to be a big Discord group called Emperor's Palace where Satire went to after, my server was over. And this server is just full of people that hate me and hate each other, and they just hate life in general. And everyone in there talks like they're in a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 lobby, and everyone has like an anime profile picture, and they're just saying empty insults at each other. So, yes, I said, you have pepperoni nips or whatever. You know, even then, it's like, I don't think I'm sexually harassing her, right? It's like, think about it this way. If you're talking to some dude or some, like, high schooler in, like, a Call of Duty lobby, and you're like, you have a micro cock, you dork, are you gonna say I was sexually harassing him? It just seems really disingenuous and kind of evil, because people actually do experience, like, serious sexual harassment, or, you know, they actually...
So Seth just said that he was going to provide objective information, right, to try to defend himself against these allegations. Seth, are you aware what the definition of objective truly is? Objective information means fact, means axiomatic claims, right? Damn near axiomatic. There's nothing axiomatic nor objective about anything you've presented in this entire video. There's no, I would say, very reliable piece of empirical evidence that you have provided whatsoever to remotely make me believe, or anybody else, that your defense is objective or highly reliable. None whatsoever. And then to try to use a false dichotomy to compare your interaction with minors and dumbasses on a Call of Duty lobby is a faulty and weak defense of your actions. Truly. You're on a Discord server where you have power, right? Where you're a name of note, a person of influence in that community. And what do? You target people that are underage on more than one occasion. That just establishes a baseline of repetitive and pedophilic behavior. And you have done nothing to imply otherwise. You have done nothing of that nature. You're basically doing what you did on Keemstream, which is try to downplay the vileness of your actions. They are definitely pedophilic in nature. They just are. Normal people don't say that shit on a Discord server, especially when they're a person of influence. You are aware of this. You were aware of this, Seth, but you still chose to engage in this kind of behavior. You still chose to do so. And let me ask you something. What would have happened if the female in question would have sent you the nudes, Seth? You would have been fucked. Because then there is definitive criminal activity taking place. The only reason this is contentious at all is because it's hard to establish legality here, right? To be fair. It's hard to establish that. It's hard to incriminate you, right? It's hard to do so. Only because the female in question didn't become coerced in your attempt to do whatever you were trying to do with her. So you got real lucky in that aspect, Seth. Real lucky. Because then you would have been royally fucked. And then we would have been talking about true comparisons between you and EDP. Just being honest. The heinous of your actions would have skyrocketed if she were to become coerced by you. But because she didn't, you try to paint this narrative that's all just a fucking joke. No. You don't get off that scot-free. And you have not provided any empirical evidence to imply that you were just joking. I see a lot of deflection, a lot of red herring. One of the most common logical fallacies you see in any community. Red herrings. That's all I see. False dichotomies. Appeal to emotion with that piece of shit that was trying to swat somebody. All fallacies. These arguments are failing you, Seth. They're failing. They are not working. Why? Because there is no real defense for your actions. There is not. The best course of action, if I'm being fair, would be to just apologize, to accept what you've done, including the pedophilic activity. Accept it. It's done. Why fight it? But anyway, let's continue, folks. Let's continue.
Actually get sexually assaulted by, parents or, bullies or whoever. And then so just saying like these like empty insults are sexual harassment is extremely loaded and disingenuous. So because I actually don't agree at all.
It doesn't matter if you agree, Seth. We're past that.
Just like randomly talk shit with no real meaning or context. Clearly, I wasn't actually looking at a picture of her or saw her in person. It was an empty insult.
You're lucky that didn't happen.
She is 2 years younger than me and a grown woman at that point in time. it's just absolutely bullshit, right? I don't agree with that terminology at all, and I don't think anyone should. It's disrespectful to actual people who are sexually harassed, and I want to move on from that. I also have a lot of evidence that when I talked to minors in the past, that I would always try to keep it public. Many years ago, even around this time, which further shows that my intentions with these types of people were never malicious or as bad as they're trying to paint it out to be. I did not take the Keemstar stream very seriously, and neither did Clyde.
We could tell.
Clyde realized that Keemstar was just trying to take two friends that were having a hard time and pit them against each other for entertainment. I'm pretty sure the dude is actually a type of sociopath. Keemstar has actually been known to make false accusations on people in very similar situations, which is why I was very uncomfortable being on the stream and why I kind of just took the piss and just kind of like played it up for entertainment and really didn't take anything seriously. If you want to find out more about his history with that, you can see him ruining a man's life named RS Glory and Gold by falsely accusing him of being a pedophile and just straight up ruining his life and watching him cry on stream and all kinds of things. And Clyde and I both really did not feel comfortable there. I'm actually surprised people like Swag even showed up on that dude's stream, because he's literally a monster that still has a platform. Like, he is so unaware when it comes to mental health and disorders. You can see him making fun of people that are on antidepressants and really not understanding the gravity of mental health, because he doesn't have empathy for other people. He doesn't know how to feel it. I actually believe he is a type of sociopath.
You lived by sin your entire fucking existence, and then you surprised when the Antichrist comes knocking? What do you think was going to happen? Why are you surprised that I'm here? You knew this was coming.
Well, some of those people are saying that they were reaching out to you, trying to help you because they thought you were in danger today. And then they got blocked.
Yeah, because I'm tired of weakness.
Okay.
All I need now are strong. I need defiers of fate. I need strong human beings that can get with the program, that aren't going to sit there twiddling their thumbs around. Keemstar, there are no coincidences in life. Think about that statement. There are no coincidences in my world.
Because
everything happens for a reason.
Because it's all planned. It's all been pre-designed.
Everything. It's all predestined, Keemstar.
But the
everything you've done up until this point.
But the scariest thing about thinking that the world is a simulation and it's predestined and all that is then there's no reason to live. Why not?
Why do you fear death?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's scary, because if you really think about it, then why live? Just jump off a cliff. If it's just a simulation, who cares?
I'm not joking, and many other people will agree, and this is why he's not very liked, and I don't like that he's seen as this, like, grand judge of internet beef. He determines who's, like, evil and good. Dude, he shouldn't even have a platform. He shouldn't even be here. He's sitting here with a girlfriend younger than my alleged victim while he's over twice my age. You can just tell he doesn't have any personal integrity, and he's the type of the dude that's like, legality is right. Like, you know, and I don't want to go too far into that, but he is just not a good person, and I don't really care what he has to say about me. And I honestly think you guys should not care either. He shouldn't even have a platform. Yeah, notice that he always says, I was just a 26-year-old child, whenever someone brings up something, the N-word. Keem, your girlfriend, you met her when she was like, what, 20? 19? She's like, what, 20? Is she a child? Do you think you're dating a child? That's what I mean, right? Like, there's just clearly no personal integrity. And back during a lot of these screenshots and things he's judging, I was like 19 or 20 as well. You know, where's the consistency? Like, you know, the bias and just the clear drama, you know, drama gremlin, like, activity is just so apparent. He's just not honest, and I really just don't want to associate anymore with that situation. As for Clyde and Omar, sectioning away from that, you know, there's a lot of things said in those videos.
What was the relevancy of bringing Keemstar on this? Again, red herring, deflection. That's all that's taking place here. No one cares about Keemstar, man. Yeah, Keemstar's hands are dirty. No one says that he's the holy preacher, the holy judge in the courtroom of the online world. No one thinks that. Why bring him up? This is about you, Seth. This isn't about fucking Keemstar. Keemstar has his own skeletons in his own closet. We're all aware of that. Why bring him up? You're right. He was just doing it for money and clout. I agree with you there. That's the one thing we'll agree on. That's why he brought you and Clyde on. Absolutely. But why bring him up? Who gives a shit about Keemstar? Again, deflection, red herring, red herring. That's all that's taking place here.
I was an asshole in the past. I understand that. And one thing I wanted to touch up on more specifically, as Clyde and Omar, you have heard my original video that I made. I don't really need to say much more. I don't need to like make this a video message to you guys too much, but I will work with you guys if you want to refund the Naruto vs. Ichigo Patreon. I think I have a good estimate of how much it made, but I will have to talk to Omar in private to kind of sort those details out. If you are interested, I can do that. And if you are interested in me doing any animation direction, as I said in the previous recording, I do have a lot of ideas for that. I can also provide animation direction and some art correction as needed and some ideas, and still refrain from being in the full project release, which could be on Omar's unique channel or on Clyde's channel or wherever it goes. The other person who was on the stream was Pat God. I will just say this straight up. I feel very uncomfortable with him being there because he's literally just a random guy from Discord who just insults people. Like, that's his whole thing. His name is Pack God. Like, packing is just mindlessly insulting people, which makes it very ironic that he doesn't understand when I'm also just insulting people. Allegedly, and I heard this before I actually got on there and before I got on it again, he apparently roasted a person named Sneeko or packed him one time, and then they kept in contact before, and then they talked before. And Sneeko is in support of a movie called Cuties, and I'll just let someone else say it.
Care what his opinion is of me because it's coming from a man who likes cuties. So why the fuck would it matter if he thinks I'm a bitch or anything like that? It legitimately couldn't mean less coming from a guy who openly defends a softcore child porn production.
Okay, if I ever wanted to get canceled, this is the video.
And so I was kind of uncomfortable being on this stream or being invited to it again. Once again, it's a guy named Pat God. He might be close to a guy named Sneeko. And it was just like, I really don't want to be associated with this any longer. One last thing I want to get into before I get more into like my career stuff and segue more into like mental health and stuff like that. One last thing that needs to be addressed from the Keemstar stream is, you know, Swag Kage versus me. Where he kind of came on, you know, he was like, Seth, you liar, you rat, you told me this, and Six was telling me you said that, and, you know, etc. And I was like, Swag, you know, this video right here, I literally say it, you know, years ago, you were a part of this.
I just said I was going to. You know how fucking bad this is. The reason you didn't try to defend
this was such a surreal moment to hear them go at it like that. That was
Instead,
crazy.
you just said that the person in the screenshots wasn't you. And the reason I'm trying to add people into call is because you want to maintain this he said, she said fucking narrative instead of having Six, someone who you have co-hosted videos with for like, what, 2 fucking years now, who people take seriously, and Troy, somebody who Six also takes seriously, who Six and I can both vouch for, who we know come in here and say that you were telling people that that wasn't you in those
Go to
fucking
1 minute and 20
that
seconds.
you have been. Yeah, sure.
So when the doc originally came out, the 50 or so pages with the pedophile evidence or whatever, and Seth telling me, you know, it's all a troll. Some of these screenshots aren't me. Some of them are doctored. Regardless of if they are doctored or not, I believed him.
And I will show some screenshots now that Swag was indeed, you know, in these calls and aware of this. And even on his own stream, he admitted it, right? He's like, well, I was only there for a few minutes. Well, maybe I was there the whole time. I don't remember, you know, and stuff like that. You can just tell he's starting to flip-flop. He's very nervous of being attached to the situation. Swag, I'm just going to say this. No one's coming for you, man. I'm the only one that's going to get in trouble here. All right. I just wanted you to take accountability and admit that I wasn't lying, and if at best it was just a miscommunication between us, okay? No one needs to be called a rat, liar, sociopath, light Yagami. No one needs to have like this middle school breakdown over a miscommunication like that, okay? It's really weird. And, you know, Six himself on a stream directly contradicts what you're trying to tell me he said. He literally himself says Seth said some were him and some were doctored. Because that's how it's always been, and that's what I said 2 years ago. That's what Six said, and we know that you were there, and so you can make up these stories that you were there for a certain amount of time or whatever. But stop trying to attack me over it, all right? You don't throw me under the bus to make yourself look better. It's really immature. And this whole narrative that I told you back in the day that all these screenshots weren't me just isn't true. I've been very consistent for years. Okay, I've been consistent since day one about this because that's the truth. That's literally why Trini turned on them in this situation. Because
Sorry for pausing it so much, folks, but he has not been consistent. You have not. On the Keem stream, you changed your defense like 3 times. Towards the end, you basically just admit that what you did and you try to downplay the vileness of it. You have not been consistent. You have not. You have not. What are you talking about? Why isn't Trini around now? That's very convenient that you only have an audio recording of him from 2 fucking years ago. Where is he now? Why doesn't he vouch for you now if he was so sure that you were innocent? I wonder what he thinks after seeing that Keem stream where you admit to most of it. I would love to hear his thoughts now. No one trusts you, dude. And you did that to yourself. Take that on the chin. Swag isn't incriminated at all for this. He thought that you were a good fucking person back then. So of course he wanted to be in the call. Because he thought you were a good person. 6'2". And you're trying to imply that he has skeletons in his closet and he's trying to save himself? He has nothing to save himself from. All these guys are cutting ties with you for a reason. Everybody. Including 6. 6 is done with your ass too. I just don't understand. Why paint this fake narrative? I don't understand that. Or try to contort the severity of your actions. I don't understand. I don't. It's very convenient that Trini is nowhere to be seen now. He doesn't want to affiliate with you. I almost guarantee it. Let's just continue.
Some of these screenshots were real and not real. 6 literally contradicts what you're saying. No, I never told you that. You might just be forgetting. I want to assume you're forgetting. But don't throw me under the bus over that, because it's just
you threw
not
yourself
true.
under the bus, dude.
It's just objectively not true.
It's
and
not
there's
objective.
too much evidence to the contrary.
It's not objective.
Like, all right, and I'm just going to say this as a warning here. A lot of these clips and a lot of these things are recorded at different times, so I'm sorry for the audio quality. My mind's a mess. The world's a mess right now. I'm just going to straight up say the audio quality will be different. It's a different day. A lot of these clips are made like right after I got out of the psych ward, and I do sound a lot different in those. My emotions are completely different. My new medication is hitting me a lot different, so please forgive me for sounding a little bit different in this next section, and I hope it doesn't bother you guys too much. The last thing I want to talk about, were things I just found untrue and maybe misworded by many people that I don't really agree with, that I felt need to be addressed before moving on. Some of these are minor and not that important, so no drama or anything, but a lot of people that aren't familiar with our community took these way out of proportion and didn't really understand what Clyde or I was saying when he said these in his videos. So no fault of Clyde, just mainly the outside community's misinterpreting. The first one is the whole I have never debated anyone good before thing, which this is like a really dorky thing to mention or care about, but it is sort of important for my image. And this is just not true. Everyone in the community knows I used to debate literally everyone, everywhere, at any opportunity. I have debated pretty much everyone of note in this community, and probably numerous times, with many of the top minds and debaters of this community earning their reputation or getting good from my literal debate boot camps I would make. And I would try to make the community better at it, because I always thought the community was really stupid, and I always thought it was kind of weird that everyone used to like pick on this community for being dumb. So I was like, I wanted to help people start to, stick up for themselves. The only person with a lot of clout from the community I haven't debated before is probably Kruos or Ista, or at least people that have had clout since I retired from doing all of that like 2 years ago. And I'm not aware of any new people, nor do I really pay attention to it. Clyde was more so saying I don't debate people outside of the community with a lot of clout, which is fair. But I also just don't have a lot of interest or motivation to do so. I don't want to learn a lot about or debate politics or philosophy at the top of the game. It just doesn't interest me that much, and while philosophy does a bit, all of it really became kind of played out about 6 years ago, and I'll just be straight up honest, it is just 100% more fun to argue if SpongeBob could beat up Goku or something than to argue if taxing the middle class 25% is moral or something. That's just my honest opinion. And as for King of Lightning, and that whole debate. I did have some prep for that, but it was very minor and was kind of blown out of proportion. The only help I got against King of Lightning was just the Roche limit argument, which is kind of infamous. People are kind of memeing on me for it, which is just that the moon has to be in stasis a certain distance from Earth due to its gravity or it would implode. I needed this because I couldn't find a Toriyama interview scan, which he directly says the moon is exactly the same distance from Earth in real life as it is in Dragon Ball, which I actually did find later and is actually in my How Strong is Goku video now. So I didn't actually need this argument to even win the debate anyway, as King of Lightning kind of agreed with the real world being like Dragon Ball anyway, unless specified, which was actually in the debate. So I am sorry to King of Lightning if he felt this was dishonest, but it really isn't that big of a deal, and the results would have been exactly the same anyway. That's just the honest truth. The second one is I don't write my own videos, which I write 99% of all my videos. I'm an expert in Dragon Ball, Naruto, Bleach, Death Note, Kingdom Hearts, God of War, Elden Ring, and Hunter x Hunter, mainly. Those are my main niches. So those videos are pretty much all me, with the exception of my latest God of War Elden Ring video where I didn't play Ragnarok, so I needed someone to vouch for me what happened in Ragnarok, etc. People are just confused due to Clyde's video because it said, and are saying that I'm an industry plant and I don't make my own stuff, which just isn't true, and this is not Clyde's fault either. People are just genuinely kind of stupid and took what he said out of context. No offense, but like that's not at all what he was trying to say. Clyde was saying that a lot of my videos outside of my niches have other people help with them, which is true, but I still have a large part in writing them and credit everyone every time. The only times I haven't credited someone for helping with the video is like Batman vs. Kira and the Fate power scaling video. Batman vs. Kira was a half-and-half project made by me and Webcam Parrot, and I genuinely forgot to credit him for his help with Batman feats. I was cool with him for a very long time even after this, and I told him the same thing. But I still did pretty much everything else with the story and Death Note stuff and how they'd interact being done by me. Parrot more so just provided feats he admitted he got off of a respect thread online, which was written by someone else, which you could actually probably find yourselves if you just Googled Batman respect thread or Batman detective feats respect thread or something like that. You could probably find pretty much everything in that Batman vs. Kira video in a respect thread. Not for Kira, but for Batman. The Fate one, I didn't credit the writer because they are actually YouTubers as well as two people, and they wanted to just work with me, and they liked me a lot, but they knew what was being said was probably controversial, and even though it was their opinion, they didn't want to get hate for it. They just found it fun to work with me and liked me, as I said before. Otherwise, every time someone helps, I usually do mention them by name in the video or the description, and if I forgot anybody, I'm not trying to hide it, I just genuinely forgot. And a lot of these videos were edited by Clyde a year or two ago, but all of my new content is not made with any of these people and was an entirely new team I made by myself, with Crisis Edits being the main editor. He did an amazing job and is an insanely good dude and very smart, by the way. Even if you hate me, even after this video, please check out his stuff. He did nothing wrong and was never involved in or knew about any drama or anything really about me. He doesn't even want to work with me anymore at this point, so do give him his accolades if you hate me or even like me for that matter. He deserves a lot more clout. Otherwise, when it comes to videos like How Strong is Goku, which I wrote hundreds of pages of notes for and researched for years to make that video, however, I will say I never give enough credit to my editors and what they had to do as well, and Clyde was very helpful with the editing of the Buu Saga portion of that video. Otherwise, I do all my own stuff in terms of writing. This should be obvious as I do live collabs with other YouTubers, and they clearly respected my opinion a lot. And it wouldn't make sense for that to be the case if I was just like an industry plant and didn't know what I was talking about, right? They would probably have just exposed me for that a long time ago. The last thing I want to really mention is just more so, this is sort of like a new development, and this was Swag Kage and trying to say that I was trying to use suicide as a manipulation tactic to get people to like vouch for me and do stuff. This was like a weird conclusion he came to. There was like no evidence I was trying to manipulate him at all. I just want to say this to you, Swag. You said you contacted the police 4 times up until February 8th. I was actually... I don't even want to mention this in the video, but I feel like I'm kind of forced to because you made your stream. I was not actually threatening suicide. I actually already tried to do it. Like on February 9th, through 12th, I was in a psych ward, and they were keeping me in there for my own good, and while I was in there, they I'll just get the paper right here. This is exactly what they said, and I'll show it. I'll show a little bit on the screen. I don't want to dox myself. If there's any influencers that want proof for any of this, I can show it. But a lot of it is like doxing. So they said that I have a moderate episode of recurrent major depressive disorder, which gives me like suicidal thoughts and tendencies.
Yeah, Seth Swag did say
so,
that
you know,
he went to
when
psych
I did
ward,
actually
so.
lose my life and my livelihood, yes, I actually did try to go through with it. And while I was in there, people were rooting for me. A lot of people I've never heard of before, or heard from before in a long time, were telling me to keep fighting and keep doing my thing. So that's why I came back to YouTube to try to. Sorry, it's kind of. This is kind of emotional for me. I genuinely was like, okay, I'll try to fight for everything. You know, I came from nothing, and I tried to work my ass off to make everything I have, and people are trying to take everything I have away from me because I don't have anything. So it was hurtful, and I don't really agree with this whole narrative that, like, because I want my friends to vouch for me on certain things that they agree with, that I'm somehow like some like Aizen anime villain manipulator. And yeah, I do know that like saying these things is hurtful to people, but that's not what I was trying to go for. Swag, if you wanted to know what I wanted you to vouch for me for, I just wanted you to vouch for me that I write my own videos. When you like went on stream and were like, Seth is a sociopath, a liar, an evil man, it was really jarring, and it was kind of scary, dude. Like, I actually just, I was like, what in the fuck is happening, right? And you know, when I would be going through a lot of stuff, you know, you watch these guys' videos, and they're just sort of, they're like posting like mental breakdowns or like weird like personal moments of mine like publicly to try to make me seem like a bad person because I have mental illness, or you know, like I have this crazy depression disorder that makes me like manic and suicidal and stuff, and they're trying to use it as like a weapon against me. It's really abnormal. And Swag, all I wanted from you was just like to say, just, hey Seth, I'm sorry for calling you a liar and a rat on Keemstar's stream, because you know, like, you even admitted it. You admitted it on your live stream, right? You know, Seth has screenshots that I was there, and then you said, okay, well, I was only there for a little bit, but you know, maybe
Ton of
you didn't
deflection
know.
taking
It was
place.
just a misinterpretation or
Ton
like a
of deflection.
miscommunication. So I just wanted you to apologize for trying to make me seem like a liar or a rat for that situation, because I wasn't lying, right? Like, I actually thought you were
That's
there.
weird what he said there.
I had all.
So today at 3:06, whatever date he recorded this, so Akage said, "Tell him that I believe him about what happened and what days everything took place, and shit, I'm sorry for jumping the gun and speculating that he was lying about his days, etc." I don't know if he heard the VODs or anything, or if this will make him feel better, but that was the one thing where I was like, he might be telling the truth here. This is just a hypothesis. I don't know if it's true or not. That being said, I don't take back anything else. Even if it really was suicidal, he was without question threatening people with it to gain ground, and that was the last straw for me. I really seriously did try with him, and I don't feel good that this is how everything turned out. Tell him that I really hope that this message was sincere, and that I hope he is seeking self-improvement, because I don't like this situation at all. I didn't like cutting him off, and I was a lot happier a few months ago when I didn't know any of this, and thought he was my friend and a better person. Tell him that above all, I'm happy to hear that he's not suicidal anymore, and that if he really was serious about it in the first place, I hope he never ends up in that spot again. Tell him sorry if I seem like I'm being needlessly stubborn and cynical, but that I don't like processing things this way either. I really want to be able to take things he says at face value, but it's hard to trust anything he says after all this. Tell him that finally, I appreciate that he's not after war with me, etc., and that at this point it's a mutual sentiment if he's serious. Six and I spoke yesterday and agreed that we won't be talking about him publicly ever again, because we want to move past this. Good luck to him, and I hope the therapy and everything else goes well. So Swag isn't on good terms with the guy. He's just very remorseful and sympathetic towards Seth's moments, right, when he was in the psych ward and things of that nature. Now, I think we can all agree with this when we say none of us should wish that kind of thing on Seth or anybody else, right, to end their life or anything like that. That's terrible. That's despicable, and you shouldn't wish that on anybody, including even Seth. I do not wish that at all for him. And clearly Swag doesn't either. But there's a very high chance that Seth was trying to bait people to say the wrong thing to make him look good. And I guarantee he would have been on this video. getting Swag in a call, getting Clyde in a call, trying to make them say something that will clear his name, specifically the pedophilic activity. Right? That's what he really wants to clear. That's the thing that bothers him the most. And ironically, that was the worst defended in this video, which implies that the guilty verdict about this activity is most likely correct. Right? So all I gotta say is Swag, I could tell, was very, very distraught by this whole situation, and he just tried to make peace any way he could with this message. So
all the screenshots and like you never clarified to me. So if you want to say that you weren't there for the whole thing, there's no proof for that, but I'll take your word for it. You should still just apologize for what you said, and that's all I really wanted, was just for you to hold like some kind of accountability. But instead,
it's ironic that
you
he's
turn
saying
me
that.
into like some like Aizen anime supervillain. And you'll notice, like, with a lot of like the rhetoric being used, they try to like paint me as like the sociopath, like emotionless, like evil man. But at the same time, they try to say I'm like full of emotions, like of happiness, anger, and like sadness at the same time, and that I help people and all kinds of shit. And then, you know, professionals also just don't agree that that's what's happening. Like, I have a bunch of papers from professionals I can show influencers and stuff. And I'm not trying to use it as like a get out of jail free card. It's just like reality, right? That's just how it actually is, right? Like, my livelihood that I've been working like 7 years on is being taken away. And I already had problems to begin with. Like, yeah, I feel awful. Like, how is this? How do you come to the conclusion that I'm like Aizen or something? And I will say this too, Clyde. I am sorry as well. I wasn't sure what to think about you. A lot of people are telling me that what you're doing is only like half genuine. They were trying to say that like you had like ulterior motives and stuff. And you know, when you wouldn't talk to me or like vouch for me on certain things, I was like, is he actually just hate me? Is he actually just trying to destroy my life? And when I watched your stream or whatever, and you're like, Seth should have just shut his mouth, and you and Noodles like he should have just shut up, and this wouldn't have happened. I didn't know how to feel about that. But you know, I'll just be the bigger man, and I'm just gonna say like I'll trust you, right? Like, I want to trust you, and even in that call, you know, where they recorded it, I did say I trusted you still. But you know, there's always the possibility that people are just really out to get you, and a lot of their reactions to certain things just don't really make a lot of sense. And that's just the honest truth, dude. Like, that's just the honest truth. I don't know what else to say. But I want to, you know, work with everyone and just be apologetic, and I just want everyone just to get out of this okay, right? Like, Swag thinks I'm trying to come for his neck and slander him or something, or get clips of him. Clyde thinks I'm trying to get him and slander him. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want anyone to hurt me. I think it's normal for people to want to, you know, repent and be apologetic while also caring about their own mental health or their livelihood. I don't think these things are mutually exclusive, and I'm sorry if it came off that way, but I just thought, you know, we could all just genuinely be friends and just work through this and all that. And since this is a bit of a time skip since my original recording, I have been seeing therapists and going to intensive outpatient programs, and have been getting some medication. And while that will not cure everything instantly, it could take months or like even years sometimes. Like, certain trauma responses take years. But, you know, medication will help the major depression disorder, or recurrent depression disorder, and a lot of those thoughts. And a lot of people have been reaching out to me that I thought hated me in the past, that have been making me feel like a lot better about the situation. And a lot of people, especially from like the religious communities, you know, have been reaching out to me and saying that they're praying for my well-being, and I want to take my life more seriously from now on. And Swag and Clyde, I hope you take your lives more seriously from now on too. It's clear you don't want anything to do with me. I just wanted you to help me like clear my name a little bit about things you guys agreed with. You know, I wasn't trying to manipulate you or nothing. This is what I was telling people, like, hey, I just want them to agree with me on these things. And it's just basic things, right? Like, very agreeable, but if you don't want to, that's okay. I'll move on. We'll all move on, and this will be the last I'll ever talk about it. Other than that, guys, thank you so much to those who supported me. You know, I never said I wasn't an asshole. I only said that I was trying to get better, which is true. Most of these allegations are years old. A lot of years old. Some of them even over half a decade old, right? Like, And the farther back you go, the worse they get, obviously. So yes, I have been trying to better myself as it was, but now I'm going to take it very, very seriously. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to do anything. So let's just stop this. All right, let's try to get help for everyone and move on for the future. In the future, I will continue to keep uploading. I'm actually gonna try editing and
Edited this myself.
making
Yeah,
a
we could
whole
tell,
video
man.
by myself, just so that I can try to put
Could definitely tell you
put
edited this.
myself into the shoes of my editors for once. I wanted to make like Naruto versus Ichigo versus Luffy.
Alright, so this is not important.
Goku
I don't really give a fuck right now, to be honest.
It'll be a huge... I know it sounds like I'm trying to twist things, but trust me, like that's literally just the reality, right? Like we have factual evidence these people are hurting others and lying to the police.
Not very factual,
and then
but
my story, like these guys are just lying about me, and we've caught them lying about me numerous times. So why are we ending my career over this? It just doesn't really make sense to me in any way. I've been trying to get help for a long time. I've already been working on my channel for years. I've already been trying to, fix my attitude. I removed so many debunk videos and so many things of me attacking other people. Me attacking anyone is considered like a rare event. It's almost considered like more like a relapse than, consistent behavior. And now that I'm seeing therapists,
disagree.
psychiatrists, and I've been in intensive outpatient programs, I've already been getting better and trying to work on myself as much as possible. This is just a very scary situation for me and for many others involved. There's a lot of dangerous people in this situation that are trying to hurt both Clyde and I. And I feel like they need to be the focus of this situation, not Clyde and I. And I think Clyde and I, we really need to hammer out our problems with each other. Same with Omar and me. Get Naruto versus Ichigo on track. Look towards the future and try to get these malicious entities out of our community. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
alright, that's it for that. I'm gonna give my thoughts on that. Again, if I was an official judge in a court of law, I would say that the defendant, being Seth, lost the trial and that he's guilty. The verdict would be guilty by the jury. We have Clyde's video, almost 3 hours long, with a ton of empirical evidence, including audio files of Seth himself, and plenty of screenshots implying his very, very vile behavior. So, again, if we were in an official court of law, Clyde's side would win the case, because he just has a greater preponderance of evidence. It's not even close. The majority of this video was hearsay. And again, hearsay in the majority of cases in a court of law is not even admissible as evidence. It is not reliable enough on a balance of probabilities. You can't establish truth with something that has such a low level of reliability like hearsay. Most of this was just hearsay from Seth, and an individual that doesn't even affiliate with him anymore. That also puts this into question. If Trini still believes you, and if we should still hold his statements valid and true to some extent, why wouldn't he help you out now? If these were all blatant lies and you were just being falsely accused of these things, of your behavior, why wouldn't he vouch for you now? That doesn't make any sense to me. That just makes your defense even more suspect. The fact that you have to go back two or 3 years to find someone vouching for you. The only one I believe that probably was the most recent was Chuck. And Chuck only spoke on some three-way thing, saying that it wasn't the female in question that was involved in that. That's all. That was the most recent thing I'm assuming. So, all in all, Seth didn't really prove anything. But to be fair, I am glad he's getting help, because that man definitely has some mental demons. That doesn't excuse his behavior whatsoever. There's plenty of individuals in this community with demons in their closet. But yeah, I don't see them engaging in pedophilic behavior or verbally tormenting someone to the point where they want to kill themselves. I don't see most people engaging in that kind of activity with mental demons nonetheless. I don't see that. There is plenty of shit talking in the community, plenty of banter, and that's fine. But once you start deviating into criminal activity, that's where it's no longer okay. And that's what Seth did, whether he wants to admit that or not, whether he wants to downplay the violence of his actions or not. That's the case with him. He admitted it on Keem's stream. This video was just filled with red herrings, false dichotomies, and an appeal to emotion. No real solid defense in this video, from my perspective. No real defense. Flimsy, weak, and in fact didn't really prove anything. I still see Seth exactly the same. But again, I'm glad that he's getting help. I hope that he tames those demons or vanquishes them in their entirety within his own mind. But he has a lot to answer for. His best course of action would be to just accept what he's done, accept the vileness of his actions, and move forward. That's all he should have done. Instead of deflecting, going to talking about fucking Keem and Pat God and all these other people we don't give a fuck about. So, this video didn't really do much. He didn't really prove anything, like I said. It was a very weak defense all in all. So all Seth could do now is simply just move on and try to build a new image that will replace the old image, which was very vile in nature, clearly, as we all know. But yeah, folks, I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. I wasn't really surprised by the video. He didn't prove anything to me, and I'm sure to most of you, and that's the reason why he's still losing traction on his channel. That's the consequence for his transgressions, right? He didn't do enough to legally incriminate himself, but he did more than enough to incriminate himself in the eyes of the masses and the populace. He did more than enough to do that, and he's paying the price for it. He deserves it. It is what it is. He deserves that, and hopefully he learns his lesson, and he's no longer that person. That's all we could say. Let's just hope the community can move on, and maybe this will teach us all a lesson to make the community a better place. But that's going to wrap it up, folks. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you think about Seth's video? Did you think that I didn't give him a fair shake? Do you think that his defense was good? Do you think that it was a pathetic display? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll catch you in the next video, folks. This is Jay the Great signing out. Peace.